Welcome, everybody, to Relax and Respawn. I'm your host, Jesus, and with me, as always, is El. El, how the hell you doing? This is the third episode we're doing. I hope you're doing
crazy.
well.
I'm doing well. I am doing well. It's pretty good, you know. Yesterday, when we're recording this, day that we're recording is the day after we did the usual Respawn Please podcast live. But I was so worn out after yesterday, and just tired, and I needed some sleep, and I got some sleep, but I'm still kind of like in that I need more sleep type of mood, I guess you could say, or something.
Yeah.
And so I know that I just need to relax a little bit more. But funny enough, we're on Relax and Respawn. But
we can relax now, man. Just chill out. Let's get some whiskey real quick and just relax with some whiskey. I don't drink, but you can drink some whiskey. You can tell me how it feels.
Hilarious.
I'll order some for you right now. Give me your address. Say it on the podcast so everybody knows. What?
No, but yeah, how are you?
I'm good. I'm a little tired. I went to sleep after our podcast yesterday after we recorded Respawn Please. I did exactly what I said I was going to do. Slept for an hour. Then stayed up until like 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
But I packed some of my bags. I have 2 bags packed. Well, the larger one here still no, actually, never mind. My large one on the other side of the room still has to get packed, and that's going to have my mic and my setup that I have here and my game consoles and all that. So hopefully it doesn't get lost in the flight, you know? Hopefully nobody steals it.
Yeah.
I'm taking a gamble, but hey, these bags behind me just have clothes in them. So
gotcha.
It's so weird packing your life into just 3 bags.
Man, I bet that's really weird, especially when you're going on the other side of the globe.
Yeah. For those who don't know, for those who are new to listening to Relax and Respawn, I'm moving to Japan. I got a job in Japan, so I'm moving to Japan. And I have to pack my life into 3 bags plus a backpack, so I guess 4 bags. My backpack is just going to have my Switch and my laptop, though, so whatever.
Nice.
That's my life too, right? Yeah. But yeah, so I spent last night packing the bags behind me, and then started pre-packing my my big bag. My big bag already has my Xbox in there, my PlayStation, because I'm not going to play them between now and when I leave. So I was just like, you know what? I'll just tuck them away. I have my PC, I have my Switch. I can just play those and not worry about anything if I wanted to play a video game or something. So I just wanted to go ahead and get stuff packed because I am anxious and ready to leave. I mentioned that yesterday to you off stream. I was just ready to go, ready to get going because boy, oh boy, this has been happening. This has been what, a 7-month process almost now? Because I interviewed for the job back at the end of January. So like 6 months. Yeah. That's
so crazy.
It was February 1st when I interviewed for the job.
That's so crazy. I remember even whenever we had it's been, I think this is going on the 2nd year that we've done Respawn Please, right? That podcast, is it 2 years now or almost?
It's been it's going on 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I still remember, I think, when you were talking about applying for this job to work over there, and you're like, we'll see what happens, not sure. And, you were at a different point in your life back then. And then, it went from I'm applying, and next, I got word, I have an interview. And then, every other month or something like that, it felt like it was just a new update.
It was just a slow progression. I even had a point where I was like, I got the job offer. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to accept it because I really don't want to teach anymore. And
yeah, exactly.
And then I was like, this is like I won't say this is like a life-changing event. It is because like I'm literally changing my entire life. But
yeah,
this is like an opportunity that I don't think I would get another point. You know what I mean? So
no, definitely.
Ultimately, I'm going to do a year or 2 of this, probably 2 years. The goal is doing 2 years.
Nice.
And then we'll see what happens after that, Yeah. Maybe I end up falling in love. Maybe I end up staying in Japan forever. Who knows?
Whoa, crazy.
Because who knows what's going to happen? We've talked about this before on, I want to say this podcast, maybe it was off this podcast, where I don't really plan things out. I'm not a planner. I just kind of go by the seams of my pants and see what the hell happens because it is what it is. Like, it's either going to be good or it's going to be bad. I'm either going to live or I'm going to die. And I haven't died yet. So as far as I know, maybe I'm dead. Maybe I'm a ghost. So with all that said, Al, transitioning away from, my big moments in life, my current big moment that's happening. What are some big moments in your life where it was like life changing for you, where you just had to like uproot everything almost and go out there? Like what is, and then like, how did you deal with it mentally, physically? Like, how did you, I guess, cope with it, I guess?
Yeah, no, definitely. There's like a couple moments like that in my life that I had that I can kind of remember and think about. The first one that automatically pops in my head is, when I moved here to Atlanta. The way that happened is, we've gone to college together for a little bit, and then eventually, you went up to the University of Arkansas up in Fayetteville, and that's like the college that Arkansas is known for the most part. So, graduating college, getting a degree, and I remember all throughout college, I got into filmmaking, and, I've always loved making music and stuff, and I was trying to figure out what to do. And I remember there were points in time before choosing to move to Atlanta that I was like, maybe I'll move to Los Angeles. Maybe I'll move to Chicago where my dad's living. Maybe I'll move to Texas, or something. Cause at the time I was a very big fan of like Rooster Teeth, and I actually wanted to do like production work with them, or maybe be an editor or something like that, And, the thing about any entertainment industry is just a lot of the times it's kind of hard to break into certain things or even get into certain companies because it's so difficult sometimes, And the big move to kind of fast forward is, I remember I would always come out to Atlanta a lot for like music festivals, and I would just like take photos, do video work, photo work, and I made connections out here. And then I remember in that whole process of thinking about moving to LA, Los Angeles, Texas, whatever, a part of me started to notice that there was it seemed like doors that were opening for me here, as far as like, I met a friend that I became good friends with here in Atlanta. He was like, hey, I know you're not, living in Atlanta, but if you ever think about moving, me and a couple friends, we have an extra spare room in this house that we're all living out of. And if you ever want to move down here, you should think about it. Rent isn't that crazy because we're splitting it all evenly. And then I was like, maybe I should move down there. Cause I think at that point, I was working this call center job that I hated. I hated this call center job. And there was a moment where I think another friend of mine told me, if you want to go do something, just set a deadline for yourself. And then on that deadline, just go. Yeah. And so I took that advice and I told myself, I'm going to save up as much money as I can. And then I'm just going to be gone by, if I remember correctly, I think the day that I actually left was March 10th in 2015, I want to say. And I was working at this call center, and I remember not really telling everybody that I was moving. I was just only telling a select few people. And I think I was at work, and a friend of mine who I worked with I told her, and I was like, hey, I'm going to move to Atlanta. And they're like, oh, that's great. That's great. And what will always happen is you always have people who kind of try to not necessarily deny you, but kind of scare you a little bit with that kind of change, going from a very, for those who aren't familiar with Arkansas, there's really nothing to do there. It's very laid back. It's a lot of farm, a lot of forest, unless you're in like a big city or something. And
anyway, a lot of other things too. A lot of bad things.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so I remember saying that, and I remember someone, another coworker who, I mean, I wasn't like, we weren't enemies or anything like that. He was just an associate, cool person. But I remember saying that, and he was like, oh, I don't know if I would move to Atlanta. I had a friend who their brother moved out there. He was a lawyer, and it's so difficult. He was out there for a couple months, and he had to come back, and basically just kind of being like, whatever. But my friend was like, don't listen to them. Just go out there, and it's good that you want to go pursue these dreams. Go do it. Yeah. And so I remember telling my mom, and my mom's always a worrier, because she's just like, oh no, you're going to be so far away from Arkansas. And I was like, it'll be all right. I'll be okay. You have, I can call you, FaceTime you, whatever. And I remember saving up, I want to say, I think I saved up about $2,000, maybe $2,500, something like that. And then I packed what I could in my car that I currently still have. I have like this, yeah, no, it's going strong. This Kia Forte 4-door car. I packed like maybe 3 boxes. Like my car was like stuffed and just enough room for me to be in the driver's seat. And so did it, came here, moved into the home. I remember for the first couple months, I didn't have a bed. I just slept on the floor. And I remember being out there, and at first, I think I had like a part-time job, but then eventually I found another job. And, but that whole transition was very like, when I think back at it, it was very crazy because I was like, okay, I have a safety net of, $2,000, maybe $2,500. And my mom was like, if you need help, I can help you for a couple of months while you're there. And so that was like a big change. The way that I kind of dealt with it, because sometimes it was stressful, where sometimes maybe I didn't have consistent work, or, I had fears of being late on bills and stuff like that. I dealt with it by, of course, playing video games, escaping to another world. Another way is like dealing with it is working out and trying to just kind of get my brain right. And then lastly, of course, sometimes when none of those would work, I would just avoid. And so, but no, I think when I was here, I just kind of tried not to think about the possibility of having to move back home. And I more so just tried to focus on getting better at the things that I loved, whether it be playing video games, shooting videos, taking photos. And I just focused on that, but it had a bunch of ups and downs. So I'll say that.
Yeah. It's very similar to, well, not quite similar to when I moved out to California.
Yeah.
I think the big difference between you and I, the experience that I had against yours was that I had a job lined up. So I was, granted that like, I think I might've told the story on the first episode or two. But I was a sound engineer, sound designer and stuff for theater. And I graduated in 2015 from undergrad and was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have a theater degree. What the hell am I going to do with the theater degree? I had been working at various theater companies doing sound engineering and sound design in Arkansas, which was fun. It was fine. My sister, who was living out in California at the time, was like, hey, the theater that so it's hard to explain this. There are two theaters right next to each other in Costa Mesa, California. There's the Performance Center, which is like that. The Performance Center is where like traveling acts would go, or like have like mini classical concerts and stuff like that. And then there was the actual theater, which was the South Coast Repertory Theater. And my sister worked at the Performance Center and was like, hey, the Repertory Theater is hiring sound engineers. You should apply for that. And so I did. And it turned out the production manager, I want to say, used to work at Theater Squared, which is a place that I interned at. He used to work there as a production manager. And so when I interviewed, he was like, you worked at Theater Squared? I was like, yeah. And he was like, oh, I know so-and-so. I'm not going to say their name in real life because I don't want people to go after him. But he was like, you know so-and-so? I was like, yeah, I know them. I love them. They're great. He was like, oh my God, that's so awesome. And then interview ended. I thought it went great. And apparently it did, because like the next day he called me back and was like, hey, you got the job.
Nice.
We need you here by Monday. And it was a Friday.
Whoa, holy moly.
So it was one of those things that I woke up Saturday or like Friday evening. I was packing my car, shoving crap in my car, just whatever I could bring. Like I brought like, clothes. I brought like my video game crap. I just shoved crap in my car. And then Saturday and Sunday I drove out there. It was holy. I think it was actually Tuesday. It wasn't quite. I think it was like they gave me like 3 days or something like that to get out there, because they were like,
that's still crazy.
But it was still like, it was a very tight sort of turnaround where it was like, hey, we're going to hire you. And then on my drive there, I didn't have a place to live.
Wow.
My sister was like, maybe you can stay with me, but I was bringing my dog Morrigan at the time, because this is going to Japan is going to be the first time I'm away from my dog Morrigan.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about that later. Because that's tearing me up inside. But my sister was like, I don't know if you'll be able to stay with us, because my sister does not like dogs at all. And the people that she was living with also didn't like dogs. And so she was like, you might be able to stay with us. I might be able to convince them, but you wouldn't be able to stay permanently or anything like that.
Yeah.
You could maybe stay for a week or two to try to find a place. But on the way up there, through emails, like when I would stop, because I would, would have to sleep. So I would pull into a hotel and sleep and stuff and all that and use internet. During that time, the South Coast rep were like, hey, we know this is a big move. We're gonna set you up for a month in a place so you can go find your own place outside of here.
Nice.
They didn't charge me too much on like rents or anything. It was only like, for like that month, it was only like $300 or something like that.
Wow.
Which is very cheap for being in California.
Yeah.
Especially the area I'm in, because Costa Mesa is in SoCal. It's in Orange County. And so I stayed for a month. I just stayed in a place, like what they essentially give to actors when actors come over to do shows at their theater. Mm-hmm. They have these like basically little condos.
Gotcha.
which was nice. They were really nice. And so I got to stay there for a month. And in that month, I didn't really have a huge transition period. The transition period was just getting used to life in California, because I was like, this is very different from being in Arkansas. There's so many people. And I realized that I hate being around people. Just so many people. And then the big transition was going from finally finding a place. Because I honestly was not looking for a place when I got there. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to write this out and see if they'll just let me stay here forever. Spoiler, they like extended it to like a half of a month, but they were like, hey, we're going to have to give these two actors that are coming in for another show, you're going to have to move out, bro. So I was like, damn it. Okay. But luckily the other sound engineer that they hired was also looking for a place, and so we like teamed up and found a place together in Long Beach. And Long Beach was the adjustment, because that was a proper city compared to Costa Mesa. Costa Mesa is sort of like like a suburb, basically.
Gotcha.
Where Long Beach is an actual city. We lived in a freaking apartment complex and crap that, that was multiple stories high and blah, blah, blah. That was an adjustment, getting used to that, because it was a one room apartment. It was about $1,600 or something like that. We got really lucky. They allowed my dog, because it's very hard to find. It was very hard to find places that allowed German Shepherds, because Morgan's a German Shepherd Husky mix, and German Shepherds are considered aggressive breed dogs. And so it was very hard to find a place that would be accepting of her. So that place did. I got really lucky with that. And I think we got lucky because I just said she was a Husky. I was like, yeah, she's a Husky.
Yeah.
And I remember the lady going, she's a Husky? And I was like, yeah, a Husky mix. I don't know what she's mixed with. She was like, huh, okay, cool. She I think she knew, but she didn't question.
That's hilarious.
Because like when she was giving me the keys to the apartment and stuff, I was like, yeah. She's a Husky.
She's a Husky, all right.
She looks like a German Shepherd, but she has like the Husky fur and everything.
Yeah.
But her face is very much German Shepherd. And
That's
anyways, that was the big adjustment for me, was just like transitioning to like living in a very close quarters, because like the apartment was relatively small. And like I got the bedroom because of Morgan. My roommate basically took over the living room, and so I never really. It was like a very awkward situation where I'd walk into the apartment and just go straight to my room, because like there was nothing in the like I would go to the kitchen to get food, but the living room was in the kitchen. Like the kitchen and living room was like together. There was like no distinction there. So it was always an awkward thing, especially like when my roommate brought his girlfriend over and stuff, and I was like, this is weird.
Oops, let me go to the room.
He put up like a privacy like wall thing. It didn't work. I was like, dude, I can still hear you. I can still see you. Like this, whatever.
Oh my god,
it was weird, and like it made me realize, like that whole situation made me realize I'm not a big fan of cities at all. Just too many people. Not long after that, I did about a year out in California, and then I was like, this isn't for me. I need to go someplace else. So I uprooted my life again and attempted grad school for sound design and theater at University of Missouri, Kansas City. And I'm not going to get into it, but that was not a good time in my life. Oh no. I absolutely hated it. I was miserable. The the program was not good. In my opinion. There was also like a lot of issues and other stuff. And so after doing a year for that, I once again uprooted my life and went to Louisville. And things went from bad to even worse, to the point that I had to come back to Arkansas because of alcoholism, which we don't have to get into. But I was drinking a lot, drinking heavily, and that's how I was coping with Kansas City and Louisville, which was not good. And I realized at a point that I needed to change that. And so I kind of had a very bad situation there where it was like, I was showing up to work drunk. I was mixing musicals drunk when I shouldn't be, and all this other crap. And yeah, I just needed to like pull back because I felt myself just falling apart. Like, maybe not professionally, but like on a personal level, on my mental health level, I was like, I'm going down this path that I don't want to go down. And so I need to rein this in. And so the only thing I could think of at the time was, I'm just going to go back to Arkansas and see what happens. Because my dad was going through some health stuff at the time. So I was like, you know what? I'll go back to Arkansas. I'll go help my mom in case something does happen to my dad. Yeah. Luckily, nothing did. But like not long after coming back, COVID started. So then I just kind of got stuck here.
Wow. Yeah. So crazy.
And while I was here, I decided, you know what? I'll try grad school again, and I'll go back to something I love, which is writing. And I started writing again. I stopped drinking. I am, going close to 3 years sober now, which is great. It'll be 3 years in December. So still got 5 more months to go. But I think that's a great accomplishment, especially compared to how I was before, where I was drinking like every single day, to the point I was drinking like a bottle of whiskey every single day.
Wow.
Or drinking an entire 12-pack of beer in a night and stuff. That's how bad it got for me.
Wow.
And so now it's like I am just going with the vibes. We'll see what happens when I go to Japan, because like Japan's probably going to be the biggest challenge for me, because like California was an adjustment because I just had to get used to like the culture and everything out there. Now it's culture, it's language, it's completely foreign entity for me, because I'm going to be a foreigner in a land that is primarily mostly Japanese. So it's going to be an interesting sort of adjustment. I've been preparing for that by trying to learn Japanese. I've been studying as much as I can. I've memorized hiragana, memorized katakana, slowly learning kanji, because Japanese language has 3 different like lettering systems.
Wow. Yeah.
Technically 4 if you want to count the kanji with the hiragana above it, which is called ugani or something. I can't remember what the word is, but so I'm trying to learn a completely new language before I get there. I'm not quite there yet. Learning a language has always been hard for me. Like, I've tried to learn Spanish. I should know Spanish with my family being Puerto Rican, but I don't really know Spanish. I know like bits and pieces, things I picked up from my dad over the years when my dad is talking and stuff like that. But like, I've never, for some reason, language has never really stuck with me. It's always been a challenge for me. And so this is like me, like trying to learn Japanese has been me like buckling down. And I think the big thing for me is like, I've never been a studier either. I don't really study for things. This is the first time I've actually sat down and tried to study. And I have learned a lot. There's a lot more I need to learn though. So and I think one of the things that's going to help me a lot too is the fact that I will be in Japan, and I'm pretty much going to have to learn Japanese. I'm going to be forced to listen to it. I'm going to be forced to speak it, because I'm in Japan. I'm not just sitting in my home in Arkansas trying to memorize words and stuff like that. I'm actually going to be actively speaking. I think that's a big thing for me too, that I'm going to realize. So who knows? Maybe by the time we start streaming again, like doing live streams, I'll be speaking Japanese fluently. I doubt it, but
maybe. No.
I'll probably have a little bit of vocabulary, but So my next question for you, Al, in regards to like life-changing events. And you kind of already talked about it when you brought up your friend who your coworker that was like, hey, you probably shouldn't do this.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then the friend that encouraged you. Have you always felt support when you've made these sort of life-changing moments, these life-changing moves? Or have you felt isolated at times?
It's been a mixture. There have been times where I kind of feel like I have been supported. It's been tough because I'll tell you one thing about it. Man, it's tough when, like, for example, like moving to Atlanta. When I first said it, like, my mother wasn't like all in with me. Like, she was kind of like, she was just worried and stuff. And she wasn't coming from a bad place. She was just coming from like the fear of, oh, what could happen when you're 8 hours away? Who knows, what could happen? Will you ever come back, type of thing. And, me being the only kid, amongst a family of 4 that is like out of the state and that left, initially, I kind of didn't feel the support just because, it was fear. I know I tried to remind myself when she kind of wasn't all in with me, that she's not necessarily doubting that I wouldn't make it out there or something, but it was more so from a place of fear. But it does feel isolating at times because I think at the same time, like, I think I want to say at this time, like talking to my dad about it whenever that was going on, he was kind of like more of a balance of like, well, if you do decide to move out there, know that you're going to have to go out there and you're going to have to like work. Like, it's going to be tough. It might be tough at first, because one, I don't come from a silver spoon background where like I just have money and I can just do whatever. And so he's like, just know that it might be a little tough in the beginning just because you're kind of, like you said, when moving to Japan, just you're uprooting and you're kind of just going to a whole new place that you're unfamiliar with. Mm-hmm. You don't know mostly anybody. I had the luck of, I knew maybe like, 3 to 5 people. And so I knew them, but even then we weren't like best friends or anything, And so, I've had a mixture of that as well as like a mixture of being supported by like friends, maybe like by you or by like my friend T Rose, which we both know, and like him just being like, if that's what you want to go do it. And then I've also had this benefit of sometimes where when stuff like this happens, like I'll give you an example, like just like you're moving to Japan at the beginning, around the beginning of next year, I'll be moving as well to the other side of the country, as me and my partners are deciding now. And that itself feels scary. And I remember I talked to my parents about that as well. And I talked to like T-Rose, I've talked to you about it. But my parents, being my parents, they were just like, why do you want to do that? Like, why do you want to go to the other side when you have great things going for you right here, just out of worry and fear, and just trying to explain to them that like, I need more, how do I say it? Like, I think that I've gotten everything I need to get out of Atlanta. Being here since 2015, what's that? 5, 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. And, it sucks, but I've grown to kind of accept that sometimes you won't get that support. And I kind of just remind myself that I kind of use it as fuel in a way to try to feel like, well, I'm going to prove them wrong and show them that I can do this, not coming from a place of like in your face type of thing, but I'm just going to show them like, hey, just trust me. Like, trust me that I'll find a way to make things work. And, I won't be out here homeless or, or stuff like that. But, I just I think what it is I have the benefit. My partner told me about this. She says one thing that she really likes about like how my brain works is that a lot of the times I don't have this fear that things won't work out. Like, I don't have this fear that life is going to pull the rug from under me and just, I'm going to fail at a bunch of things and I'm going to fail at moving or something. I don't feel that way at all. I always feel like I'm going to be okay. Like, I always have this feeling in me inherently that just tells me you're going to be fine. Like, maybe the first couple months you might be like, oh, this sucks. But then after a while, what's going to happen is something's going to kick in you. And then these opportunities are going to start to come and you're going to be fine. And you're going to feel just like you did before. I don't know why I get that. Maybe it comes from my childhood or something, but I always feel that way. And so, sorry, I kind of went off the thing with the question, but I think I have the benefit of that And then I kind of think that even though sometimes maybe I wish I had support from maybe like family or close friends, and even if I don't get it, I just tell myself that, well, it's okay. I'm pretty sure that your friends and family would want the best for you. And so regardless of what they say. And so that's how I kind of deal with it and try to just like make the best out of it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I am lucky in that my parents have pretty much they'll support anything I say I'll do.
Mm-hmm.
I get, well, maybe to an extent. They probably would not support me if I was like, you know what, I want to go out and murder people. They probably would say yes to that. but like they've always been very like supporting, like from, you know, me going, my sister and I both going into theater. They were supportive of that, getting into the arts and stuff. My parents have just always been supporting. So like if I tell them I want to do something, my mom's first question is always, are you sure you want to do that? And I go, yeah. She'll go, okay, well, good luck. And then like right now, like they're helping me. They are helping me move. They gave me a little bit of money to move to Japan and stuff on top of what a little bit I already had to kind of offset the like moving costs and everything. So like I've always had support there. I've always had support from my sister. My sister and I are like, my sister and I don't really talk that much anymore. But it's one of those things with my sister where like, if we absolutely need something from each other, whether it's just to talk or just be like, hey, I'm doing this, just letting you know. Like my sister and I are very supportive of each other. Like if my sister ever needs me for anything, I will be there in a heartbeat because she's my sister and I love my sister. And I know she'll do the same thing for me. We just, you know, we're just at different points in our lives now. She's living in Nevada. She's married. She's, you know, starting a family and all that. And I'm still trying to figure my crap out. She's only a year and a half older than I am. So we're fairly, you know, close in age and all that. And my sister and I have always been close, even when we were kids. I mean, like teenage years, you know, things get a little wonky in teenage years. You know how that is. Where we're like, ugh, my brother, loser, don't talk to him. Yeah. Like, my sister's a bitch. You know how it goes. But like my sister and I have always been close, and like we still support each other and everything. And then I've been fortunate to have like you and our friends Blitz and Little Dove being supportive and stuff too. And grad school was surprisingly my second attempt at grad school when I went back to the school that we started at, UCA. My mentors and everything have been supportive. Like when I told them I was applying to get a job in Japan, they were like, hell yeah, go do that. Do it. You know, my mentors wrote me letters of recommendations, and then they would check in with me like every other week going, hey, have you heard back yet? Have you heard back yet? So it's like, I've had that support. And I'm still going to have I'm always going to have that support because that's kind of what grad school does, which I appreciate a lot, at least in my experience with grad school. I know everybody's experience with grad school is going to be different. I feel like in the arts with grad school, people get very tight knit. Like even though I did not enjoy my time at UMKC in the sound design program, I still got really close to a handful of people that I still talk to and check in with every now and then. My friend Wallace, who's living out in Colorado, doing film stuff in Colorado, he was one of the sound guys, and we check in, we message each other, we'll text each other randomly and just say, hey, how's it going? What's new going on in your life and all that. And then, so I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of support. I haven't had too many people go, you shouldn't do that. You know, I think it's more of, at times me convincing myself to do something because I'm a very, I say I don't plan things out, but I also, once I get comfortable in something, I'm fine with just that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just fine with that. I don't really need to deviate from it. So like there are times in my life where I'm forced to do it. Like when my realization in California that I didn't enjoy California. Yeah. I was like, okay, I need to change things up. I need to see what's out there. I need to change. That was like the most stressful periods of my life from 2015 to 2018. Cause it was like every year I was just going to a different place because I just couldn't figure out what I wanted. But I'm very much a person that like, once I start getting comfortable with something, I don't want to deviate from it. And it takes a lot of convincing me like mental gymnastics on my part to go, okay, I should do this. I need to do this.
Yeah.
Like right now, the hardest thing for me right now is coming to the realization, coming to the acceptance that I am about to leave my dog, my best friend, my companion, behind. My two pups, specifically Morgie. I mean, I love Alistair, don't get me wrong. I'm going to miss both of them horribly. But Morgan, you know, she's been my companion since 2014, almost 10 years.
Wow.
She's 10 years old now. I got her when she was 9 months old. And it's going to be hard next week. For those who don't know, because this is going up on Friday, August whatever, August
5th, yeah.
4th. It's going up August 4th. I'm going to be going to Japan. That's the day I'm going to Japan. So I will be like, when this goes live, I will already be flying to Japan.
Wow.
So I have until today, which is July 29th, until August 3rd to just come to terms with the fact that I'm about to leave. Trying not to cry. I have to come with the fact, terms with the fact with leaving my best friend, my companion, the thing that's been like basically my rock through a very like, you know, through some tough times, traveling with me all over the stupid country of the United States. And that's the hardest thing for me. Like, and I know that's probably weird for those who aren't animal lovers who don't understand. It's just like, I don't know how to explain it, but she's just always been there, and it's going to be really weird not to have it. And I think that's going to be the hardest thing for me. And I think that's going to be the very big thing for me, like in the first month or two. And it may be a situation where I'd never get used to it, where I'll wake up randomly in like October, November, December and just go, man, my dog, you know?
Yeah.
But that's the thing that is going to be the struggle for me a lot in Japan, is going to be that. Missing my dogs, wanting to have my dogs with me, wanting to have my cat with me. I haven't even mentioned my cat, and I don't know where he's at. He's somewhere. He's hiding under the bed, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be the hardest thing for me. So I kind of want to ask you, like, what has been the hardest challenge, like the biggest challenge for you? And was it something you ever felt like you overcame, or was it something that still kind of lingers in the back for you even now, like after spending almost a decade in Atlanta? Was there still like something that lingered in the back of your mind even 10 years later, or even like 5 years later? There's a couple things, because I feel like there are certain things that didn't work out. I kind of chalk it up to maybe it just wasn't meant to be, but a part of me kind of feels like, man, I could have done something better, whether it be a job or like a project or something. And there's like a couple things I have like that, where I kind of feel like I let myself down. And it's a kind of woulda, coulda, what could have been, you know? Yeah. And, even being out here, and I remember like my mom, just thinking about like, I remember like my whole thing with moving out here and just trying to like pursue my dreams. One of the things that a goal that I have in mind is always to be successful in what I do, hopefully make a living off of it. If I make a pretty good living off of it, be able to support my family, to be able to help them, whether that be just taking care of their bills or something like that, to just helping them with getting a car or something like that. I've always wanted to do that, but there have been a lot of times where I've kind of sat with myself and, looked at where I was at in my career, and where I felt like I should have been, and kind of just been like, man, I feel like I haven't done anything. Even there are times like that where I feel like that, even like now, where I've done a lot of things, but I still feel like it's not enough. I haven't done, or I haven't accomplished what I set out to be, what I set out to do, which is support my family back home, support, my fiance, support, be more successful and stuff, just because I feel like I can always give more, and I will say that, like, luckily, like my partner, she's kind of like been there to remind me that I have done great things and I have accomplished, a bunch of stuff.
and that, you know, I am successful. Cause like there's a lot of time where sometimes I felt like, you know, are my parents proud of me? Like, are they happy for me that I left and I'm kind of doing my own thing and I'm doing all this, you know, or like, feeling like, you know, maybe if I don't have my bank account to be a certain number, then I'm not successful. Are they happy for me? Or are they still worried about me, type of thing? And, sometimes I try not to think about it too much, because what'll happen is I can get lost in that, and I can be like, well, I just have to work harder. I have to work harder, you know, and I kind of get lost in that worker bee mentality of like constantly like go, just burn out. And like, that's how a lot of times I would burn out. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I've talked to you about this, and I think I've talked about it on the podcast. When I went on tour with this artist here, I think it was 2, maybe 3 years ago, I went on tour on this like countrywide tour. We went to a bunch of places. It was an opportunity that I had worked for. It felt like the entire time that I had moved to Atlanta. Like I had just put in so much work, so much experience and stuff, and then I got the opportunity. And I remember at the time I was dating someone else prior to my partner who I am with now. And I remember during the tour, the person that I was with broke up with me. They broke up with me. And I remember kind of feeling like I was nothing in a way, because I was like, if I'm so successful and I'm on this tour and I'm doing these things, but yet when I feel like I'm up here, my partner would be like, no, I don't want to be with you. You know, that it was kind of like a big, like I fell far down, you know, that's what it felt like. To be like, well, what is it like? Does any of this matter? You know? And so after that, like I remember after the tour, like I think I tried to continue to work with him, and like I would, but because of the way that my what was going on in my headspace, I kind of like got a little lazy, or like I just didn't feel like doing certain things, and so that opportunity kind of left me. And every now and then I do think about like, if maybe I had been like more focused, and maybe I'd have been, you know, I don't know, just had a different type of way of thinking about it to deal with that, I'd still be in that opportunity. Maybe something else would have come up. But the way that I think about it, and I kind of got over it, is that I think that, well, maybe it wasn't supposed to be like that. And maybe that happened for a reason. Because now I'd like to say that I think I'm the happiest that I've ever been in my whole life. And, I think that that's something important to say, because I think for the longest time, I always try to ask myself, my partner does this where she asks me, sometimes she'll go, what does your ideal life look like? What does that look like to you? And like, what's in it? You know, are you making a certain amount of money? Do you have certain things? Do you have a home? If it's a home, what size is it? You know, just to try to make it a reality. And I remember she asked me that, and I was thinking about all the things I wanted. But as I was telling them to her, I was like, I have all these things. Like I have them. The last thing that really is not even that important to me, money, like I don't even really care about money as much. But I have everything else. So I have everything I want. But for some reason, my brain was like confused into think like, oh, I have to make X amount of dollars and then I'll be happy. But luckily with her and having her in my life, it made me realize, like, with those struggles of just having a different perspective helped me to be like, I'm actually the happiest I've ever been, you know? Yeah. And so luckily I have that support system that kind of helps me deal with like maybe any time that I feel like I'm down on myself. Granted, there are times that I know I've been, like before I moved out here, I had like dogs back home dogs and cats that lived in my mom's house that I loved. I loved them. And like one of them is, named Blue. She's like a blue heeler mixed with I want to say either, a lab or like, or maybe like I don't think it's a German Shepherd. I think it might be a lab, but she's beautiful. Love that dog. And just like every now and then when I would go back home, I'd see her and I'd be like, Blue, so happy to see her. And then there's this other cat we have called Surprise. And, I love them. Yeah, I know. I love, because I don't know why, it's just a cute name, but such a cute cat. And like, I remember Blue's still with us, but Surprise isn't with us anymore. And I remember discovering that news and like being so upset about it and just being like, I never got to say goodbye, so to speak, you know, and dealing with that. But it's just like, man, it sucks because, but I love them. Blue's still here, and so whenever I do go back home, you know, even though Blue's not my dog, it feels like she's my dog. But to kind of go back a little bit, but I say that I think I'm lucky to have someone who can kind of keep me grounded sometimes when I feel like I'm floating away and feeling like I'm not, you know, the best, or I'm a failure. And I think that helps out so much to have like, I guess you could say like a support group of her, maybe you, or like my other friends, and that will remind me like, no, you've done great things. Like you're good at what you do. It's just kind of reminding myself to believe in myself, you know?
Yeah. I feel you. I was going to make a very bad joke where I was going to be like, you don't have me. I'm just going to tell you suck. I was like, no, I shouldn't do that. That's mean. Because you come to me with anything, I will always be there for you. So
yeah.
Unless I'm dead.
Oh my God.
Here we go. Got the humor in there.
Oh my God.
That's how I deal with a lot of things. You've learned this about me going all the way back to like high school. Yeah. Because that's how long we've known each other. My humor is very dark. I go into very dark humor just because it's what helps me process the world. Just falling into dark humor. And it can be kind of disturbing at times. And maybe people question my mental health at times. And it's like, well, I don't actually mean anything by it most of the time.
Hilarious.
But yeah, for me, like coping with things has always been kind of a struggle for me. You know, I briefly talked about the alcoholism. What I've found recently since getting sober, going through grad school, writing, and like, I don't know why this is a surprise to me, because like writing is something I did back in high school, and you know, I was doing that when we were at UCA together. I was writing all the time. I just kind of, for some reason, when I started working in theater, I kind of just fell off of writing and lost that passion. Or I shouldn't say I lost it. It was always there. I just, because I was like, oh, I need to focus on this to enhance my career, that my writing habits went off to the side. And so when I finally gave myself permission to write again, which I know that probably sounds weird, but being like, hey, you can write, you can do this, just do it. It was like the biggest relief I've had forever. Like this was like back in 2019 when I was applying for grad school, and I was like getting my portfolio ready and stuff and going, okay, what can I do? Because I have to submit a bunch of work, and most of my work is almost 10 years old at this point because I haven't really written anything, or getting close to 10 years. So I sat down and like wrote a whole new short story to submit with my packet of stuff. And I was just like, man, this feels great to do this. And then having to write for every single class, you know, through grad school, even though it was stressful at times, I just realized that like writing is the thing that makes me the happiest when I am feeling certain ways. And so like, even now, like when my mental health is not there, or I'm just feeling overwhelmed with things, I'll sit down and write and just write until I can't write anymore. Sometimes it's the last 5 minutes where I'll write for 5 minutes and be like, yeah, I'm not feeling it right now, and I'll move on. Other times I'll write for like 4, 5, 6 hours straight with like small little breaks where I'll, you know, have to go use the bathroom, I'll get a drink or something. But yeah, like writing is the thing that I think I'm going to be leaning on the most when I get to Japan. Just kind of, because it's going to be like so many new experiences, you know, like it's going to be so much information getting thrown at in my brain, from language to culture to just like, you know, learning about the area that I live in and stuff like that. And it's going to be so much information that I'm going to have to write to like really process it all, because that's typically how I process things, is just dark humor in writing. It's just that's how I just process the world. And you know, that for me is my big thing, is like, that's what I rely on the most when things are getting challenging for me, is just finding a moment to give myself permission to just write. And do you still feel that with like music when you? Oh yeah,
man. Yeah. I'll tell you this, music definitely, because a lot of the times music, I'm trying to think. Because I've tried different ways of like, most of the time, whenever I'm making music, it's how I feel in that moment, you know, or I'm making something that I just connect with. Like this morning, like when we're recording this morning, I woke up And me and my partner, we had breakfast, and then after that, I decided to come down here, and I was like, you know what? Let me mess with my SP404, this machine that I can make music in without needing to look at a screen. So I was like, let me just mess with this, and I messed with it, and I started to make something. And the first idea, I was like, it's okay. I'm not in love with it, so I'm okay with like scratching it, just deleting it. I'm like, okay, I don't love this. And then the second idea actually came out. And I was like, ooh, I felt an immediate connection. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. I love it because that's how I feel right now. And I was like, I should probably, work on it. And so I just kept tinkering at it. And so a lot of the times, whenever I'm feeling something, sometimes what I'll do is I'll just make music, because what will happen is I'll make just something that I'm feeling. Like I can think of something. There's this song that this instrumental that I had made, because I have a project that I'm finishing up that's named after my dog Hawk, and she's the first pup that me and my partner got together, and she's been with us over 2 years now, so she's still a little baby, but she's been with us for 2 years. And I remember one day I was just thinking about her and how much like I loved my pup, and I made a song called Man's Best Friend, because of course dogs are known as man's best friend. And I remember I started to play the piano, and I was just thinking about her. She was like laying over here on my couch or whatever. And I remember for me, I was just playing, and I kind of hit some chord, and then I started to play with it a little bit. And then all of a sudden I just started to feel very emotional playing it. And I was like, oh boy. And next thing you know, this whole idea came out of it, inspired by her. It's one of my favorite pieces of music I've ever made. And a lot of the times, like, to kind of go back a little bit, a lot of times of how I'm feeling is music is definitely a way to kind of release that, because I'm not, I like to say that I'm not really good with words when it comes to kind of like describing how I feel or maybe what I'm thinking. And so a lot of times music does that for me to kind of express and kind of show people like, this is how I'm feeling about this or about that. And so music is definitely like that, whether I'm in a good mood, I'm in a sad mood, I'm upset or something like that. It's always reflected in the music. And so you can definitely hear that. Yeah.
For me, it's because I primarily write fantasy. Mm-hmm. And so depending on my mood, it will dictate how I treat my characters. If I'm in a bad mood, my characters just go through the ringer. If I'm in a happy mood, they have the perfect story of lives. I realize, and this is something I realized I did when I was working on my thesis, that I realized there were times where I was writing my thesis, the novel that I'm working on now, that one of the characters' name is Saul. He's one of the main characters. And I realized as I was writing his chapters, because it's a fantasy that has multiple character POVs in different chapters. But I realized when I was writing his chapters, I could tell when I was in a bad mood or in a good mood, because there were moments where like the tone would be inconsistent at times between this thing. So I was like, oh yeah, I wrote that when I was in a bad mood. That's why it's not matching. That's why it's not matching like his next chapter or the chapter before, or even within the chapter itself. Like when I took a break from like writing his chapters or something, like I would go back and would be like, oh yeah, that's why this is not matching. I got to smooth this out, because he goes from 100 to being mildly amused to 100 again. It's like, okay,
oh my God,
I gotta make this work even more. And so yeah, I just realized like my characters kind of reflect my mood that I'm in, and when I'm writing, and I gotta consciously go in and go, okay, let's smooth this out, because these characters aren't acting consistent. And maybe that's just me as a person. Maybe I'm not consistent. Oh my God, I'm a failure. I got something to deal with now after the podcast. I'm kidding.
Oh no.
But yeah, so that's my fun side of writing. Like, yeah, just there's so much. Writing has just always been my go-to thing, even when I was a kid. My mom still keeps all the stuff that I wrote when I was a kid. I have a little comic book thing that I wrote about a superhero duck.
Nice.
Named Quackers, Captain Quackers or something like
Captain Quackers.
Yeah.
Nice.
And she likes to pull it out every now and then and go, see what you wrote? I always knew you would be a writer. I'm like, cool. It was it was only like a little like 1-page thing where I do like a very bad duck, because I'm not an artist. I never was. I've never been able to draw. But it was a little crappy duck with dialogue and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man.
I'll pull it out sometime. Maybe I'll pull it out before I go to Japan and take it with me to Japan and then show it off on streams in the future.
Oh yeah, definitely. Captain Quackers issue number 1, first edition.
First edition, selling it for $6 million.
Wow. Oh yeah.
So, getting close to ending this, but there is one thing I want to ask you. One last thing, Al, because you have a big event coming up, and we've talked about it. I don't know if we've really talked about it on stream at all, but you're getting married soon.
Oh yeah,
you're getting. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot that's happening.
Whoops, I forgot.
Oh man,
other me did that. No.
How are you feeling about that? Because you're 2 months away. You're going to be 2 months away, right? So
I think it's already 2 months away. It's basically 2 months away. And so, man, it's interesting because I think when me and my partner got together, we've been together going on 4 years now. We've been together for a while, and to be honest, when we first started dating, I want to say after the first year, it kind of felt like we were already married. It kind of felt like that.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It just because I think I was just like, for people like for everybody who just like is dating out there, sometimes there are a lot of times when you're maybe in a relationship and you kind of feel unsure, and maybe you kind of feel like, is this going to work? Is this not going to work? And just it's a lot of like figuring things out and communicating. And so I was comparing like my previous relationships to the relationship that I am in now when we first started dating, and I started to notice the big difference of like, now I see why maybe these other relationships didn't work out, just because I kind of avoided maybe certain red flags or something like that. And maybe I just didn't see that maybe we weren't just as compatible, And so but I realized early on when we first started dating that as soon as like we started dating, I could feel myself internally just be like, all right, we're setting our bags here. Like we're leaving them right here. I feel comfortable here. And yeah, this is your partner. And so I've always felt like comfortable with her, and she was actually one of the first, if not the only partner I've been with who kind of made me feel very comfortable to be myself 100%. And so, because it's been like in previous relationships, it kind of felt like that the other people, like I had to kind of hide myself a little bit in a way where I couldn't be like, as jokey as I wanted to be, or I couldn't be as random or anything for fear of being judged, and it's not a fault on them, but it just, it was more like me, like, oh, I can't do certain things. But here I felt like the most free, so to speak. And a part of me, like I said at the beginning, it kind of feels like we've been married like ever since we got together. That's what it just feels like to me. But to finally make it official, it's amazing, and it's I'm pretty sure like right now I don't really feel nervous or anything. I'm pretty sure though, the same way that I proposed to her, I felt very nervous on that day when I did ask the question. I was so nervous, and so like, oof, my heartbeat was like doof doof doof. But I'm pretty sure it'll probably happen the same way, because like getting married and then like being surrounded by people, like from her family, from my side and stuff. And it's like my brain's probably going to be like, oh, this is official now. Like the government's involved now, like, and so
tell the government.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but no, I'm excited. I'm happy for it. A part of me feels like it will be the same as it is now. The only thing that will change is the title. That's it.
Yeah.
And which I love. That's fine with me. But a part of me is like, wow, that's so amazing. Cause like I think for the longest time, I think even when I was a kid, I always thought about getting married, like, and finding somebody that I wanted to be married to, and, to finally do it, feels amazing. And to have a partner, like her is, something special. And like, I'm excited, I'm ready for it. And, it was funny because I had given her, her engagement ring, and I kept telling her randomly to be funny. I was like, I'd like a ring. I'd like my wedding band. Whenever you can get that, please. No, but no, yeah, I'm excited. And it's so funny because like to me, it's amazing. But at the same time, I'm just like, I feel like we're already married. It feels like we are, Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I remember when you were proposing to her, because can't remember if you had called me or if you told me like the day before because we were recording
I think
something. You're like, hey, just because you were whispering into the you were whispering it to me. I was like, why are you whispering? He was like, I don't. You were like, I don't want her to hear me.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah,
because you were telling me what you were gonna do, and I was like, dude, yeah, go, awesome.
Oh yeah,
because I just remember you whispering it to me, and I was like, why are you whispering?
Exactly. You're like, why are you talking so low?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm happy for you though, man.
Thank you.
Marriage is not something I'm probably ever going to experience, but whatever. That's life.
Never know.
I guess that's true. The hard thing is like I know I never want kids. Like, I know that about me. I just don't want kids. Like, I'll be happy if my sister has kids. I'll be the cool uncle. I'll come babysit them or let them come visit me in Japan and stuff, and keep them for like a week or two, and then I send them back and never have to think about it again. That's what I want.
I get that.
I don't having a dog, having a cat. That's enough for me. And I think that is a conversation. Like if I ever enter a relationship again, that's a conversation I would probably have to have. Just be like, hey, because that's something you need to be on the same page with your partner with. If you you're on dig, because that's one of the big compatibility things. I feel like.
Definitely. That's definitely one of the discussions, whether or not, because I think some people might not want kids in whenever they do get married, but down the line, whether or not they want to.
Yeah, I'm 33 and I'm confident in saying that I don't want kids. If I wasn't going to Japan, I have been looking into getting a vasectomy just because with everything going on in the US right now with.
Yeah.
I was just like, you know what? I'll just get a vasectomy so I don't ever have to worry about it. So yeah. Maybe it's something I'll still explore while I'm in Japan, or maybe it's something I do when I get back from Japan. Who knows? But yeah, just like I 100% know child is just not a functional thing in my life that I would want. I'm happy with my cats, happy with dogs. And like, I wouldn't mind, babysitting my sister's kids if she ever has kids, or if you were like, hey, come hang out with my kid. If you have kids and you're like, let's come hang out with my kids. I'll be like, that's weird that you want me to hang out with your kids, but sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. I get that. It makes sense. But it's good to know that about yourself. Yeah. Because I know that's something that I kind of, I had a realization of in like, I kind of, a lot of the times, I think for me, I'll say this, because I know we're going to the end, but a part of me, I kind of went with the flow with a lot of things. And then a lot of the times I was very much kind of like a people pleaser, or people would push me a certain way and I would go that way. And then I kind of felt like, oh, that's how life is. People tell you sometimes where to go and you go that way. Every now and then you decide where to go and so on. But then it wasn't until this relationship, my partner was like, no, you decide where you want to go. People don't tell you what to do, and so to speak. And then asking myself of that question of like, do I want kids? Like, do I want that? Or is that something I thought I wanted? But actually it was people putting that idea in my head type of thing. And so, it's interesting, but that's a good thing to know. And I commend you for that, because sometimes people, I think what it is, people get scared of saying that for fear of rejection. Yeah. But in reality, it's better for you to say that because you're so sure that you do not want that. And I think it's better to know that. And that way people are like, oh, he knows what he wants, And so, but good on you.
Yeah. It's not like a decision that I just randomly came up with in the last year or two. It's been something that I've been thinking about since I was like 21, 22, Oh yeah. It's just like I came to just realize I can't really explain how I came to that realization. It was just one day I was like, yeah, I don't want kids. You know what? I think of what it was. It was little bastard cousins, my little cousins that I would babysit all the time. It's all their fault. They ruined it. No, I'm kidding. But
hilarious.
Yeah. Let me think. I don't think I have anything else for you, El. Do you have anything for me?
No, I think, man, I'm super excited for you to go out there to Japan and experience it. I know me and my partner will be out there in October, and so like I can't wait to go out there. And just because I know we love Japan and Japan's amazing, and man, I can't wait to be out there. And then just for you to kind of experience it and see how it goes. And it's going to be interesting whenever we do start up doing the live Respawn Please podcast again. I think It's going to be so interesting because, you'll be, what did you say? You'll be 14, 15 hours ahead, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to be 14 hours ahead. I'm in Okinawa.
You'll be in the future.
I know. If the world ends, I can tell you before it happens. You know?
Exactly. As it's happening. Get that thing.
Al, we're all going to die. Prepare yourself in 14 hours. You have 14 hours to live.
Oh my God.
That'd be me.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. But I'm super excited because this is definitely going to be something this is definitely, for the lack of a better word, a historical moment for you. This big jump from going to where you are now to Japan and then seeing how that turns out. So that's going to be interesting. I can't wait. I'm excited for you.
I'm excited too. I'm nervous and I'm going to cry a lot. I'm going to have nights where I'm crying a lot, mainly because I miss Morgan and I miss Alistair and I miss Garrus. I probably won't cry about missing my parents. I don't know. Maybe. I'm going to miss my parents. I don't know if I'm going to cry about it. I'll cry about my dogs.
I get that. It makes sense.
They're somewhere. They're right there. Alistair's right there. Morgie jumped on the bed. They're sleeping on the bed. Yeah, I'm not going to have that. This is going to be so weird. It's going to be just so weird anyways. Wind us down, El. Let's get the hell out of here.
Well, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in to Relax and Respawn. Of course, if you're watching this, Relax, Respawn and Respawn is a monthly podcast where we talk about our lives. It comes out at the first Friday of every single month. Usually video version and audio version drop at 9 a.m. The video version is on our YouTube at Respawn Please Podcast. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon to be notified of future videos that we got here. Audio version is available everywhere you get podcasts. If you just type in Relax and Respawn and you'll pull it up right there. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Respawn Please Podcast. And thanks for tuning in.
I burped into the mic. I apologize, everybody. I don't know if anybody heard that, but I burped. Anyways, bye.
Bye.